Today is Monday, August 2, 2004. This is a meeting of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners.
Oh. And I got some fishing pictures.
Yeah. I move the approval of vouchers for county road and motor vehicle and public works as listed.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I meet with the prosecutor and the city attorney and their staff in regards to liquor in parks.
In the city, yeah.
Inside the city limits.
You know, I met with Gary last week,
That's good.
and he talked about that permitting process. And he was telling me that he had come up with a way with his attorney to where he basically gives the county one permit per year, then allows the county to continue permitting the way you have in the past.
Oh, that's good.
So it's just a matter of getting that formal
If we have
process.
two sets, we did. Let's see. That we.
Yes. Could you hand me the absence stamp? I'm sorry. Thank you.
Banger.
This was, Orel.
Yeah.
And then that's a shark they got. But look at these fish.
Oh my, who did this
Not
now?
letting that shark flop around at all.
Who did this?
Dave and Orel Cortol, Bob Hackwith.
They just get back?
Yeah. Well, no, they've been back a while. These are the pictures, though, that,
Sounds like a fun trip.
yeah. That's, and then it's red snapper. And, they had to throw back, they could only get one red snapper apiece. And they
Really?
had to throw anything back that they, what is that? Is that a...
It's halibut.
No, not that thing. Isn't it?
Yeah.
This is halibut.
Yeah, but it's halibut the other way.
Oh.
From
Let's
the other
see,
side.
these
This is the
little-
bottom side, this is the top side.
Oh, I thought it was a
Hold on.
stingray.
No, that's a halibut, isn't it?
The little ones are halibut, looks like. For these little fellas here.
Yeah, they are. They fish 2 days
Got
for
that.
halibut, and then they have to go so deep
Mm-hmm.
that they got red snapper.
They caught a tremendous amount of fish.
I don't need to look.
What?
Excuse me, Fred.
He never shows me the pictures. He always hands them back.
There you go.
This is a terrain. Look at this big ship.
Oh, yeah.
He had. This was a tour for
Where'd they
him.
go, you know?
Kitchcan.
Oh, all the way up to Alaska. Oh, that's a nice. You must have a pretty full halibut. You see me on it.
Yes, and red snapper and salmon. And I don't even like. Oh, there's a panorama.
Yeah, these are all little
That
houses.
was salmon.
But look at that ship. Doesn't that look like a poster advertisement?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
With the
word.
Yeah,
terrain
nice
behind
picture.
it? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice, yeah.
But anyway, guess they had a good time. Oh,
I
here's
would
my
have too. I'm having a good time just looking at the pictures.
look at my little girls that's the Empire State Building.
Isn't that nice?
They wanted to go in front of I Love New York. Well, Timothy, do you have anything more?
No, other than they won't be paving HL this week, it'll be next week.
Okay.
Nothing
After
else.
This week, possibly, so.
And Sharon, when do we have you listed?
She's up here at 9:50.
9:15.
Are we gonna do is Pat coming for the consent agenda?
Well-
the consent agenda has been switched.
Let's do my time.
Jim's time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we're a little early,
Well, you'd
but
be
we
up.
might as well start, huh?
Okay. These are great.
You can look at them.
I told Sharon I discussed the parameters before.
Oh,
You said don't talk if you're asking for money.
oh my gosh.
What fun.
Now they were on this boat when they were there, Neva. They were on.
No. The boats are in there if you wanted to flip through.
Yeah, I saw the small boats, but I thought maybe
No, this was just a cruise ship that was right there.
Oh, I was
so
gonna
he
say,
took some
oh,
of that.
my.
But now here's back here on this next picture. No. I think there was 3 condos in that little building. They were right on the bay. Dave was so upset that they.
Well, that is too bad, because it would have been nice as long as they
Yeah.
were there.
Yeah.
We could do that. Yeah, I'm not going to ask for money today, is that good?
You're welcome.
Just a couple of things I wanted to share. First of all, you signed a letter a couple of weeks ago to Greg Haney, giving him an opportunity to sign an amended contract by the 23rd, which was a week ago Friday.
And he didn't do it?
He did not sign it. I met with Greg Wednesday. He indicated that he did not think he put the counties in any liability or that he was really in breach of his contract. And that he thought we probably made a bigger deal of it than was necessary, but that he did have a concern or a question about one of the paragraphs that specifically required that he have the insurance company forward copies of the policies directly to the counties. And he felt that that was asking him to be responsible or liable for something that he didn't have control over. The reason that we specifically put that language in is that we had contacted not me, but Loretta Kelty Smith from the Benton County Administrator's Office had directly contacted the insurance company, who said, we will forward those to you, but not without permission from Mr. Haney. So we had some discussion about that. He left my office. I told him that at this point in time, he was beyond that date and that he would need to speak with both boards about a change in that notice, because essentially that letter notified him that if he did not sign by the 23rd, that his contract was then terminated on the 22nd of October, which is the 90-day time frame that the contract allows the counties to give notice for any reason to a contracted attorney. So I don't know exactly what will happen here. I anticipate
Don't you think we
that
should advertise?
Well, I anticipate that if he's going to take this seriously at this point in time, that he will make some steps to come in and see you.
Our big issue, and I'll refresh my memory here, it's been on the
insurance.
Insurance thing.
He let his insurance lapse.
During the time that it was lapsed.
But he let it
If there was
lapse.
any claims, we're supposed to be covered.
Well, what
Within
he
that
did
time.
was he let the insurance lapse. He tells me it was for 3 months. I only have proof that he had insurance to the end of December, and then that he did not renew his insurance until June. So I have a 6-month hole.
I'd say we
He
shouldn't mess
claims
with
that what he did was, well, what he did do was he bought a binder through his insurance company that goes backwards a year, so that there is some coverage for that period of time that he did not have insurance. He's repurchased
So
insurance
he
that
purchased
goes
the tail,
backwards.
huh?
That's right. The issue is that it will not cover known acts. And so there's a 6-month period of time where if something were to come up, certainly an insurance company is going to come in and argue against the counties that it was a known act or that he had some reason
Now
to
you're
know.
saying known act.
Well, something
That
that
we
he
knew
knew was an error or omission in his practice.
Yeah, and why are we messing with this guy? Really?
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think we need to mess with him. Personally, that's...
Well, and at this point in time, Commissioner, my perception is that the boards have given him notice that if he didn't sign the contract, his contract will terminate on October 22nd. And I have told him that I will not come in and advocate on his behalf. He will need to take those steps to come before the boards to explain his circumstances if that's what he chooses. So I should have been given that opportunity in the first place.
Well, the first time when we don't have sufficient coverage on the insurance, I mean, that is enough right there, in my opinion.
It's very concerning, and it's concerning
Yeah.
to me that he doesn't.
And he's
see it as a
arguing
major
the
at this
issue
point.
And if he doesn't assume that responsibility, I don't think any coming is going to make any difference, at least for me.
Well, I wanted to just give you a heads up that that's where we are. I don't know what process will take. I don't even have the contracts in my office anymore. I sent them back to the Benton County Administrator. So they are in Loretta's office at this point in time, and if he chooses to take some steps to deal with it, then
The only reason Benton
He will
County
have
was
to
probably
initiate
signed, we
that.
thought we weren't, you know. Really. But when someone violates that insurance clause in there, I mean, that's real serious.
it is serious, and it's something that he needs to clearly pay very close attention to,
And I realize it's a dollar thing with him, but that's not important. As far as we're concerned, the liability issue is what we have to look at.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and when there's a contract, there's a contract. You know, he needs to pay attention to the
That's
details
his
of that contract.
contract or his life.
Okay. The other thing, we had, I believe, sent notice to all of you that there is a reasonable effort symposium regarding the dependency process scheduled for August 4th. It's in Richland, and that's where most of the parties involved in dependency cases, abuse and neglect cases, come together to try and identify gaps and holes in the system and try to develop ways of rectifying it. Specifically, this one is aimed around kinship care, relative caregivers for kids who are removed from their parents. There's been lots of issue. First of all, the national evaluation that was done of Department of Social and Health Services highlighted that as an area of concern. And we've certainly had some folks who have been picketing the juvenile court on Dependency Day the last few months, particularly around relative care. So that's what this symposium is specifically aimed at.
And you said
I just
August
wanted to
the
let you-
4th?
Yes.
Because that's our regular meeting day.
That's Wednesday.
And it's difficult for, I kind of wanted to go to that, but
Probably not able. Well, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of it, and I will certainly report back to you to let you know anything any major changes that we make. I also wanted to let you know that we did get notice that the Byrne Grant, which is the money that supports the probation counselor at Pasco High School, was renewed
Oh, good.
for the next
Oh,
year,
man.
so that's a positive thing. We are, however,
Are we going
going
to have to fight for that for every year? Every year?
we only have one more year of potential funding, and then it's gone. Then we won't have a
Because,
shot at it anymore.
You know, we've got proof that that works.
Well, and one of the reasons that I'm changing evaluators this year, we are going to WSU to do the evaluation and to look back at what we have done, is when we went before the House Juvenile Justice Committee, they questioned our data. And I want a reputable,
Third party.
well-known evaluator. Bill Hansen is certainly a decent evaluator, but he is not going to carry the weight that Washington State University is going to carry with the legislators. So we are switching the evaluation so that they will come on board, and we have a meeting with the evaluator this Thursday in hopes that we can go back to the legislature. I think Jerome Delvin is very willing to carry a message for us and to try and champion this to the extent that he can. He's fully aware of the issues and the results of the
How
project.
much does it cost the state?
It's actually, Byrne Grant is federal dollars,
Oh, federal?
and I think it's about an $85,000 grant. What it pays for is Sean's position, the evaluator, and then some supplies. Pasco School District actually picks up the cost of the teacher for the project. So, it's been a
Right.
great partnership.
Well, what I was thinking, there should, how many other schools have this program? Are we the only one?
In the state.
You know, it seemed like
There are
it's
lots
dollars.
of other counties looking at it now.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, what we did was, in terms of new offenses amongst the probation group, reduced new offenses by 73%, probation violations by 50%. We reduced disciplinary referrals among the non-probation group by 75%, and the dropout rate by 50%. Huge numbers. So that was last year. I don't have the evaluation report for the 73, 74. Or 2003, 2004 school year.
You know, that's preventative again. You know, they need to put dollars where we can prevent.
It's a
So
lot cheaper.
we're
It's
certainly going to go
correction.
back after money through the legislature.
But I was
But I
thinking
wanted to let you know
those
that.
dollars maybe should be going to, I mean, there should be more dollars put into that.
Well, and I think that the House committee as well as the Senate committee may be willing to pay more attention to it if we get WSU on board. So that's the reason we're moving that
Boy, those
direction.
are good
Probably should have
figures,
done it
aren't
last
they?
year. They really are. And as soon as I get the evaluation from Mr. Hanson for this last year, I'll give you that information as well. So that's all I have to say. The truancy report should be here this week, the final truancy report. Pasco, or Franklin County numbers were down from 400 to like 322 this year.
Well, that's a good
And we
sign.
had about a 73% return rate to school. So kids who had been the subject of truancy petitions at 322, 73% of them were back in school through the end of the year. So that's it. That's great.
Well, that's good, yeah.
Yeah, it's positive.
Well, how's that program going to work without Mary Lee? Have you got someone?
Jackie Van Worm is the new Mary Lee.
How can she be spread so thin?
Well, we just sort of moved her around, but
Was she not
we've moved
involved
Brian.
in the drug court?
Well, she will be very peripherally, but we've moved Brian Thomas into that position as the drug court coordinator for the juvenile court. Jackie is still only three-quarter time because that's what Mary Lee was. So the other quarter time, she's I think still involved with the adult drug court
Okay.
and supporting the community accountability board.
Okay.
So we did a pretty good job.
Okay. I hope good.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jim. It's nice meeting you.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Roger looks eager out there for something. We got a hearing coming up at,
No, I think he's just here to observe. Is that right?
That's correct, Commissioner Carpenter, yes. May I just perhaps, for the record, however, mention that, and good morning, Commissioner Boyd.
morning, Roger.
The Greater Pasco Area Chamber of Commerce recently conducted a membership opinion survey regarding the strategic planning direction for the future of the chamber. And that survey spoke quite clearly on some of the needs and wants of our 400 membership. With a large margin, the single greatest factor was for the chamber to act as perhaps a stronger vocal advocate for the local business community to help both the city's party and, if necessary, at state. I would like to, of course, develop a very close relationship with yourselves in the meetings and how we might cooperate together to represent, perhaps more strongly than in the past, the business community's perceived needs.
Did she see that was all right to put that in the applicable? Now I have a stamp address stamp.
Yes.
You want copies? Yes, I'd like.
Okay, well, there's your other.
I'd like copy, huh? Should I'll just
No, I'll
use
make-
this as.
I'll make you a copy.
Okay. Excuse me for interrupting here.
I just wanted to.
You agree to that?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. And would you please give me your signature right there?
What's he agreeing to? That's pretty
Pay me
serious.
$1,000 a week.
Oh.
He's-
He has
he's-
to have
he's-
another vote.
He's flying over to.
Oh, I see. Well, it's none of my business, I guess, but.
Here you go.
Thank
you. You can keep going. Okay. So continue.
I simply wanted to add that our major activity in the past and continuing to the present of the chamber is the annual agricultural show. In the past, it had the name of the Mid-Columbia Farm Forum and Ag Show. That name, starting next year in January, has been changed to simply the Pasco Ag Show, which was commonly used by most of the visitors anyway. We have, for next year, partnered with the Washington Farm Bureau and their 45,000 members, which we believe and are planning for a significant expansion in impact of the show. We have every confidence that the show will be a true benefit to our entire area, and we are looking forward to keeping you advised as we move closer to the January dates. First week in January is not the best time, perhaps, but again, it's the...
Historically, it's been there.
It has been, Commissioner Brock, it has been. So we have that on our side, and recognizing that no date is perfect for everyone, it was the best of perhaps several, maybe not perfect alternatives.
Well, it seems like for the farming community, it would be it's a good date because they're not doing a whole
There's
lot of
not
farming
much
in
else.
January, but this past year was pretty bad because of weather.
Sure.
And I think your numbers were down because of weather.
The weather was just terrible.
And that's the only reason.
Yeah, they had a blizzard right there the first year.
I have been, let the record sidebar, but I'd like to make it clear that I did not bring that. Another addition, major change, not a change, an addition we're making to the show this year is that we are planning a series of breakout sessions. The theme of the Ag Show will be field to table, changing trends in agricultural diversification and marketing. And the theme will be marketing. We hope to have some significant national speakers here, and we believe that this will generate a great deal of publicity of favorable nature.
And with the hotel being right adjacent to the facility, out-of-towners can stay there.
And indeed, we're planning to use the hotel for some of the breakout meetings.
Yes. Yeah, they've got very nice rooms.
You know, they used to have that. I'm going back a number of years. I was very active in this. And it used to be in November, I believe. And they changed it to where they have it now, probably because they felt it was better than there absolutely shouldn't be anything going on for the farmers in that time of the year. Right.
It's you're right. This is the 12th, I believe, the 12th year that it's been conducted, and we are combining the Ag Show with what we have previously called the Ag Hall of Fame, which you may recall is a dinner honoring growers.
You're going to have that Hall of Fame dinner at the same time, then?
We're going to have it as the main attraction of the last day of the show.
Oh,
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
That's nice.
That's a good idea.
Well, we think so, and we are planning to invite both Governor Locke as a hail and farewell, as a expression of appreciation, and the governor-elect. And amongst the we hope that they would be available to actually pass out the honors as well as our local personalities. So we think it will be a nice fitting in to a much improved show.
But changing that and putting the Hall of Fame dinner with that, I think is a good idea because the Hall of Fame dinner kind of stood by itself.
Yeah.
Now putting it with the Ag, it kind of ties together. I think that's good.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're trying to again focus more publicity on the event itself, and that is an added function to it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Are you ready?
The bearded one is back.
Well, pretty close, but do you want to
You want to show us something previous?
Sure.
Okay.
Matt's
that's
something.
that's your arborvitae.
These are arborvitae and similar type material. Just wanted to.
Those were rather heavy out there. I couldn't hardly see it when I drove by with those up.
You couldn't. I personally haven't been out there. Greg and Jerry took those.
Oh, I have. Those arborvitae. Actually, you see those, friends? I didn't.
Arborvitae is similar material. I guess just wanted to make sure that the board was on board with the next process with Mr. Stinnett on his conditional use permit.
Would you please erase my phone number from his memory?
Those are the kind of a different arborvitae. I don't believe I've seen those before.
But those are awful thick. You can't see anything in the back of that, can you, Fred? You see them.
The process would be to schedule a hearing to revoke conditional use permit and business license.
Isn't hunting season coming up? Wasn't that the purpose of that?
No,
No.
This is something different.
Well, it could be. Could be, yeah.
It was his primary target.
Was a Mexican.
Was the minority?
Yeah.
You know, the goats and the pigs.
Oh, I
and
see. I see.
But hunting season could be something for him too, because
Sure.
you get cut up the deer
Sure.
and so forth there.
But he's got a big mess out there. He's got a lot of litter, garbage, debris. But the
Well,
process.
we've got plenty of those, and if he's not meeting his conditions on his permit, why?
Right.
Let's go through the process.
I thought about giving him another 2 weeks to inform him that these are, maybe you didn't understand the conditions of your CUP. These aren't arborvitae or similar type.
Yeah.
You might as well give him the 2 weeks, though, because he's going to take more than that anyhow.
Right. And then inform him that if it's not done within so many days, that we will be scheduling a hearing in front of the Board of Commissioners for revocation of your conditional use permit. Or consideration of it.
Can Mike handle that?
I thought
Unfortunately, on the revocation of the CUP, that doesn't go to Mike.
Oh.
Could we
Because
change that? We could change that.
He wasn't the person who approved it, so.
Frank, we got to step up to that plate.
It looks like some of these other guys we hire could assume that responsibility.
Oh, go ahead and look at them. Those are people from our church to Alaska. Oh, that's my little girls in New York.
We're on a fishing trip?
Uh-huh.
Now that's my kind of shark to catch.
Yeah.
Little tiny one.
Yeah, well, you see that they had a foot on him.
They had a lot of fish in there, more.
Wow.
And the thing is, I'm not a fish eater.
Is that Bob Hackworth in there?
Mm-hmm. Bob Hackworth, Oriel Cortez.
Let me see. I looked right at the picture and I didn't pick out Bob,
And
Far to the left.
his name is Ross Carpenter, and I don't know the other guy. He's Bob Hackworth's brother-in-law.
Okay. Bob is retired now.
Isn't that pretty?
It is gorgeous.
The bay.
I want to go.
Now, do we have a public hearing?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I just didn't want to pass it up. So, we'll announce it. Nobody's coming in?
Well, I'm gonna. This was continued from the previous one. I'm gonna
All right.
graciously hope for another continuance.
Okay, I'll make the general jargon.
Okay.
Okay. We're here for a public hearing continued from July 19th, 2004, to vacate of an easement, 2004-01, to consider an application by Rodney Burns to vacate an easement for public access purposes. Commissioner Brock, Corcoran, are present. Mrs. Miller is absent. Mary Withers, clerk of the board. Jared McPherson, planner, and Fred Bowen, our administrator, and there is someone in the audience. And with
You
that-
are our audience.
You are our audience.
Mr. Burns had applied to vacate an easement, a public access easement on Greenview Estates #1, to vacate it from a portion of one lot and relocate it to another lot. so it wouldn't burden the two property owners. Since that time, there's been some discussion as to whether or not he wanted to proceed with this, and he's meeting on site with the potential landowner this morning and asked for an additional week or two to resolve the issue if he wanted to proceed. So
He's not trying to stop public access. He's going to just
relocate it to the south, one more lot, basically, because it straddles a property line, and one of the potential purchasers, their house plans and everything, and it's a little bit skinnier lot, and it would just be kind of a hardship on them. So they're looking at moving it further to the south on a bigger, wider lot that would accommodate the public access. So
That's a good move, Rodney.
Then, when they get public access down to the river, then is there an easement on the river shore for individuals in front of those homes?
yeah, that's all core property.
Okay.
The easement gets the
there's no
public to the
pathway
core.
or anything?
Not at this point, and that's Tim's through the parks plan as far as
There could be.
establishing. There could be at some
Yeah.
point,
Okay.
but this easement would not prohibit people from going down and walking along the shoreline at this point. So
Okay, so when would you say would be a good date to continue?
August 11th at 9:30.
Would you like to make a motion to that effect?
Yes, so moved.
All second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, now you may look at the pictures.
Okay. Did you want me to move off to the side? And Mr.
Okay, go
Bowman?
ahead. I don't think he saw all of them anyway.
No, fine.
Okay.
Go ahead. Let's do the side.
Is there anything else?
Here we go, we always.
It sounds like I'm picking on him, and I don't mean to be, but I think we should have an explanation.
Well,
Why would we take that kind of money out of, because we're going to have to feed those individuals.
I can't speak for him, but the numbers that I put together for you last week showed that their population is not going down. So in the past, they were up to 170 at one time. And
They're
were
down about
to
130 now. Yeah.
So if his population base is down, to that, and they were budgeting for the previous years.
Well, I wonder what needed repaired.
I don't
You know,
know.
what,
I think I wouldn't mess with it.
I know, but I'd like to know.
Well,
I
just
mean,
gonna
I
ask
think,
what's
I think we should have an explanation of some sort.
Well, do you want to pull it off? Until
No, I'll approve it, but would you ask
Yeah,
him
I'll
those
ask.
questions?
You're talking about a jail population. You know what Benton County's is now? They're about 750, and they want to get it up to 800. But the real kicker, I had quite a long visit with Larry Taylor yesterday. We had a judging, we were judges at this deal at the fair.
Oh,
And they've got 250 locked in contracts, and they want to get 300. Now, boy, that's big money.
yes, and that was his intent when he pushed to have the jail enlarged over there.
But that is.
But I was thinking about our federal contracts, where they're not coming to our facility. If we as a board could contact Doc, and he's going to be here, for the break. I wonder if we could talk to him about the difference in our price that we charge them and what Benton County charges them, the federal prisoners.
So my understanding of how that actually went about is that the federal contracts will pay for the amount of the cost of the jail.
Actual expenses we couldn't justify.
And what our corrections facilities was doing was could not justify the expense of what he was offering. So they had to go somewhere else. And now that was an internal policy that the federal contracts had. You justify the expense and we'll pay the amount. Even though it was cheaper at Franklin County, if you could not justify that expense, their policies required them to go somewhere else.
That's crazy on that.
It is, but that's the way it is.
Why
So,
couldn't we justify the costs?
well, because
With the
he
same
couldn't
formula
lay
we
it
do
out
in
in
the city.
paper that said it will cost you $51 a day at Franklin County. He could justify $48 a day, but he couldn't justify the $51 a day, so they left.
We have the
That's
same.
ridiculous.
I'm just telling
What
you.
I'm saying, it's ridiculous that if they think that the cost is 51, they should have been able to, they've missed something.
But wasn't the cost established based on a relationship with the city on our contract?
No, the city's contract is actual expenses.
That's right.
That's what I'm
It's
saying, though.
actually-
Wasn't that the city? Didn't we base the $48? Isn't that where they came from?
Was the and that
And they use the same figures dealing with the feds, I'm sure.
and that all of those include everything: overhead, IS, janitor, the whole thing.
Well,
It's
I
$48
guess my
a day.
point being, why didn't we give
Adjust them.
adjust the figures?
Could we have adjusted those up and still had the same deal with the city or not? Because we'd had two different cost ratios.
Well,
I mean, wouldn't $48 be better
than nothing.
than nothing?
Absolutely. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just telling you what happened. And I feel
Well,
the
to
same
me,
way,
that-
and drop it
that's-
back down. And from what I understand, he is now starting to get the federal contracts back. They're starting to come back to him.
One of the things that I did learn yesterday, in addition to this, is that Benton County has picked up contracts, or grants rather, for meth. Considerable amount of money for the meth, enough to hire a couple deputies. Now, you know that they've found more meth labs than anybody, period. Well, they've got 2 guys assigned to that function. That's why they're finding the meth lab. And, I mean, I spent quite a bit of time visiting with Larry, and he was telling me where he had come up with these grants, and I think there might be some avenue we need to either work with them or check with them. I can't tell anybody how to run their shop, but
Well, anyway, okay.
I move for approval of consent agenda.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have it on the agenda.
Mayor, I need a copy of this. You know, when something like this comes in, what we need to know is justification. Tell them to write a little blurb on there. What they needed repaired, why.
That should automatically come, they automatically should include that on.
See, I have no idea what that's for and why.
Of what they spent on repairs and maintenance money.
Well, it didn't say all the repairs and maintenance is spent, but it just transferred
Well,
that.
that's what it's telling me, if you have insufficient funds in that line item, then it's been spent on something already.
And you know, I'm just curious what's broke in the general.
At August 2, I hope we're not running short in any line item. Food is one thing we can't short.
That's what concerns me.
You sign once, Neva signs twice.
David signs more than I.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe that. Well, I'm pro tem. Gee.
I'm important.
In line of the president's policy on physical fitness, we might cook them one meal a day. And that would be.
Well, I don't know. I think he should be careful with his physical fitness. He's had a couple crashes on his bicycle.
He has, hasn't he?
Yeah. Skinned himself up.
Who's that?
President Bush.
Did you read that deal that came out? I saw in some publication about Carrie's daughters. One is in med school, third year med school, and the other daughter is in, well, not cinematography, but graduated in that type of major.
I thought those speeches were kind of cute about that guinea pig.
The daughter's speech. I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
But those
told a
daughters,
story about the guinea pig almost drowning, and their dad did mouth to mouth.
oh God,
Well, it's not really mouth to mouth. They cup and blow in the nose. But
they aren't really young girls. I mean, they're, 20, I think one's 30 and one's 27.
So you're saying 30's not real young anymore, huh?
It's not like 19, is what I'm saying. You're almost over the hill at 30.
I remember being in high school and my mom having mid-30-year-old friends thinking how old they were.
You need to go now.
Yeah, it's just changed a bit now.
Yeah,
And I'm there and I'm like, man.
and you're there. But 31 is, of course, you don't count well either, but I mean,
You know,
30. You're 31, I figure.
I'll be, I'm 32, I'll be 33 this coming year.
Oh, my word.
I'm old. You're old for your age, bro.
he deserves it.
Well, thank you for letting me look at those.
that was it. What did I say? Catch
And
can?
your little girl still doesn't have a puppy. Puppy for your little girl.
Riley.
Well, Fred needs a puppy.
I just bought a puppy.
Well, your puppy needs a friend.
She's that can.
Huh?
It's, raising a puppy by itself is bad.
It is.
Yeah, right.
Those older dogs, I mean, they just can't. German Shepherd needs a puppy.
But your little girl doesn't have a puppy to raise. She needs a puppy that she can kind of grow up with.
Well, she wants a kitten more than she wants a puppy.
I haven't asked her. Let me show her a puppy and then let her decide.
I haven't talked to Nancy about those kittens.
Yeah, we got to get rid of our mama dog is going to find a new home.
Sure.
And, we're going to get out of the pup manufacturing business.
Nancy hopes to get out of the kitten
Getting
manufacturing.
this.
But she found these. She's scared to death Rob's going to find them and he'll just shoot them. Because he wanted to get rid of cats.
I
We
can't
need-
keep that.
They've got one that they had spayed.
These
And
pups that I have are awfully kind to kittens.
they're what?
Kind to kittens.
Are they?
They're exceptionally smart pups.
I'm sure.
Well, I found 4 at home last week, so people will pay high prices for dogs, and these dogs will make just as good. I'm not pointing to anybody at all, but these dogs will make a good pet, and it's just what.
You know what, Frank? If you would have had a dog of any size that wasn't threatening to move into my house with me, I would have probably ended up with one of your puppies. But I just refuse to have an inside dog.
These aren't inside dogs.
My wife with the little dogs that you had would have been an inside dog.
No, they're big dogs. See, they're pairs, and this is going to be a big dog.
You know, the thing that kind of makes me question what you're saying is that if I wanted
Fred,
an inside
You're
small
questioning,
dog,
you're questioning a commissioner now?
no. I would never do that.
Nor would the chamber.
Absolutely not.
We went out and bought a German Shepherd this weekend.
Oh, did
A
you?
little 9-week-old puppy.
Well, I thought you had a big dog.
I do, but my wife wanted a German Shepherd. Well, she wanted an inside small puppy. And I told her no, and she wasn't real happy.
Well,
with
I'm
that.
telling you, I would say I'm buying the house.
That's what I said.
No.
Oh,
Caroline.
I didn't share that with her.
Commissioners, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to Wednesday.
Okay,
Okay, Roger.
we'll see you,
Thank you
Roger.
so much.
Uh-huh.
Well, we're the boring group here.
Sue wasn't here to tell jokes.
Huh?
I said Sue wasn't here to tell jokes, I
Kind
guess.
of
huh?
alive in the
Yeah. What is all that that you stamped?
The attachment that
Sue was
went
out
to the
campaigning this
resolution,
morning.
just so it was all identified.
Well, Mr. Dawson.
So congratulations, Neva. You're totally unproposed all week.
Oh, well, I've got a week to sweat it out.
One, you know,
Brenda, who is the new chairman?
Brenda's not.
I know, who is?
I don't know. I can't even tell you.
Well, you're some party.
Like they changed. They didn't consult with me.
I
That's why I would know.
Well, anyway, they have a week to put somebody up.
Yeah, you got to find one. But
So-
I've never seen it happen since I've been here.
Well, not on a local race, but sometimes they do in other races.
You can be a lot more independent when you're unopposed.
Yes. Well, I know I won't have to go to all those chamber little speeches.
You don't have to get up and make
We'll do that anyway.
I am not going to.
I think you should, though.
I think she-
Philosophy. You
Oh.
gotta-
Hopefully he's not here for anything since there's only 2 of you.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully not. You think he might be a bit in trouble?
No more so than that.
Well, I could show you a picture of Michaela and Madison.
Well, they're gonna be 26 years old by now.
No, they're not. Is it Michaela?
How old are they now, Neva?
Maybe what's 8?
Maddie? No, she's going to be in the 7th grade. Let's see, Mackenzie's going to be 15, so Maddie's 11.
11.
No, going to be 12. She's going to be 12, and Michaela was 10.
Does Maddie still causing trouble?
Yes. She is a little troublemaker of the
Trouble when
family.
she's got this eye, too.
She's a spitfire.
They never stop.
That's Madison and Michaela.
At the Empire State Building.
Yep.
And they didn't throw anything off?
No.
Yeah, Madison looks like she's in trouble right there, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. I thought maybe it'd be Mackenzie that Rob would have a problem with, but he said, no, it's Madison. She's already boy crazy.
They go through that stage. And they're only in it for the next umpteen years.
Okay, we might as well start if you're ready, huh?
Oh,
Are you ready, Mary?
I'm ready.
Are you, you've got
I
more
can do this
signing?
later.
Okay,
I signed it.
that's good, thank you.
Like a beautiful little
We
citizen.
can say no just as not well now as we can later.
That's
Ray,
right,
you
that's
know?
what I was thinking.
we doing?
How are we doing? Pretty well. I mean, budget's running, the way it's supposed to. What you have in front of you is basically a cost projection I had Brian do the 1st of July after our meeting. When I looked at the budget and said, we're running out of money because tax collections aren't
Till October.
till October. And it looks like around the middle of October we're going to run out of money.
You're not in bad shape then.
We're not in horrible shape. Based on not getting projections now, but
So you figure, and what you're looking for, you need a bridge.
a bridge of about probably $10,000. And that's if tax collections should pick up around the 1st of October, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm not sure that this is not premature. It's just I need to get us prepared in case we need to go out and get a bank loan.
Well, I see no reason why we can't help you on that at all.
But it's just at the projection that we're at now, we're going to be about $4,000 short in October.
And you won't need that money until that
The
time.
end of October,
Yeah.
And
Fine.
hopefully we should be okay.
Yeah. And you may not need it at all. But
That's kind of what I was
why
thinking.
don't you come back on that thing, Rick? I don't
No.
think, at least I don't have it filled out that makes it work.
No, it's just my version is I need to make sure that you're aware of
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
what's going back.
And as
It's
soon as-
much less than the conversation we had over there when I talked with you.
Yeah.
And so the bridge is no problem. It
Yeah,
wouldn't have
it's-
been a problem with the other figure on a bridge.
No, and it's much less than that, and it's definitely just a bridge. We're running well within budget. And
Yeah, this is good.
Things
Yeah.
seem
Now,
to
you're
be going-
paying $1,000 rent out at
Mhm.
emergency management
No.
a month?
No, we're over at Franklin County Irrigation District.
Oh.
Yeah, we pay $1,000 a month. That includes heat, lights.
Oh.
So
That's total everything.
that's total everything except for phones and those things. But that's actually a pretty good rate. And we've got 1,200 square feet. Plus we've got a shed out back, and plus fenced parking area. For
Well, you've got
vehicles.
fenced in area, haven't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that provides safety for our vehicles. And,
Security there, and that's all included in $1,000.
yes.
And did you get that vehicle from our motor pool?
We got one vehicle from your motor pool. The most recent vehicle we just got we got it from basically through a municipal lease.
Oh.
That was.
What are we getting from Ranch and Home?
We get some chemicals and equipment and tools and those sort of things. It's just if we need something, we've got an account there, so we can go get what we need.
Yeah.
So how are we doing as far as mosquito control? Pretty good, or?
It seems to be doing okay. We're not getting a whole lot of complaints about mosquitoes, except up in Connell. We're spending an inordinate amount of time up there.
They have that processing plant there.
Right, and Lamb Weston is spending about $100,000 a year trying to take care of mosquitoes. And then we've searched, Brian's crew has searched everywhere in and around Connell looking for breeding sites and has controlled all of them, and is still having to go up and doing nighttime spraying 3 days a week to control the mosquitoes up there. And he's meeting with Lamb Weston today again to try and figure out that problem. But everywhere else it seems to be.
How about up by Basin City?
Basin City, we're getting quite a few mosquitoes, and they're doing spraying twice a week because what they're getting up there are floodwater mosquitoes, and there's no way we can do larval control on floodwater mosquitoes. There's just too much water.
In Washington and Oregon, the only two states that haven't had anything appreciable.
Yeah, we haven't had anything yet.
And
So-
Arizona is where it is right now, isn't it?
Arizona and California, there was a case in Nevada now.
But Arizona is the premier state right now.
Yeah, they're hot and heavy. They've got almost 200, over 200 cases
Yeah.
now.
200 cases of people?
Of people. And
Yeah.
it's running, first cases showed up earlier this year than they did last year anywhere in the nation. But California's picking up, but all in and around Orange County and Los Angeles.
And what about New York, where it started?
There's a few cases.
And Chicago in that area?
A few.
But
There's
nothing
quite a
like-
few in Colorado again this year, which is actually a surprise based on the number of cases they had last
But did
year.
it move to a different area?
No, it's still
In the same
around
area
the
of
same
Colorado.
area. But by the end of the season last year, pretty much all of Colorado had been hit. Utah's had their first cases already this year. Idaho's had a horse.
And
Human
Every-
cases should be picking up now.
everybody's asking the same question about the immunity you develop, or if you do develop immunity, and that's what I asked about New York.
And you do. And the other thing is, all those places where they got hit, they stepped up mosquito control and have done a lot of things to, enhance human protection so that people are actually paying attention and controlling mosquitoes themselves as well as taking personal protection out there. Which went with Colorado, which was an interesting thing, even after they started getting this enormous numbers of cases, 70% of the people that were coming down with the infection did not use any personal protection at all.
No DEET whatsoever.
Nothing.
The manufacturers of DEET should have made a lot of money in the last 2 years.
They should be making lots of money. But, which should show up here before long. There's no physical barrier, physical reason
But
it shouldn't.
what is that going to do, now that we got the mosquito district in place, and then we have cases? How are we going to
Well, we're going to have
combat the bad publicity?
We're going to have cases. We're going to have fewer cases.
And this is why we established it, to deal with it so you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And this is education. We need to have people realize where this thing is. People have to understand that it's not a dead issue just because we haven't got them here.
Yeah. And, they need to protect themselves when they go out of state. And we had 11 cases in the state of Washington last year from people that traveled outside the state.
Oh,
So,
that's a thought.
people need to take precautions.
Didn't they say the people in California that had come down with this year had been to Arizona? At least one of those.
One or two, but
Yeah.
they found West Nile virus in birds in California really early, like in April this year. So it's there, and they knew it was there early. Same with Arizona. And then the case in Idaho and the horse. Whether it was an outlier from last year or something from a mosquito pool that was positive late in the year.
Had the horse? Do you know anything about it? Had the horse ever been vaccinated?
It had been vaccinated, and it did recover. So,
Was there any side effects when it recovered, or do you know?
no, I don't know. But it has recovered.
Because we've had plenty of time to get a horse vaccinated here.
Yeah. And there's those that are going to vaccinate have already done so. Those that aren't won't.
Yeah.
There's not much we can do.
It's
about
like
that.
sleeping sickness. People used to take a chance, and then the ones vaccinated, the sleeping sickness kind of disappeared for a number of years, then it came back here.
And that'll probably, when you look at West Nile, I think that's probably what's going to happen. Is it'll come, it's going to stay strong for a few years, and then it'll go away because there won't be any, competent hosts left out. Everybody will have been infected.
It'll run its course.
Just kind of like St. Louis pops up periodically
Yeah.
in eastern equine. Because
How is that young man that was ill from Franklin County doing? Did
he's
we
still
know?
struggling.
Is he?
No, we should ask Jerry on that.
Oh, that's right.
His brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law.
That's at least that's what we hear is that he's still struggling. Which is unfortunate.
Isn't that sad?
God, that's over a year now.
Now, some people, when both of those, all the flaviviruses tend to, if they get too encephalitis, cause lifelong complications, even when people recover. That just don't get
Well,
really
my
bad.
brother-in-law did. Phil's brother, just older than him. He never did recover fully.
What do you have, encephalitis?
Uh-huh.
But
They
there's
figure from a horsefly.
more and more of them coming.
And, he was on disability. It was just not the same person. He never did refer to Phil by his name after that.
He really affected him.
The kid, or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
He couldn't drive because he didn't know where he was at,
Where are we going?
where he was going. I mean, it's awful. It's awful.
Well, I think you got your guidance from us that will accommodate
That's
you
good.
when you need
That's
it.
good. That's what I needed.
What are your plans now? You'd indicated that you were going to.
We've actually, I've kind of tabled those plans for, I'll serve out my term. And we've actually moved meetings, so meetings are during the day and to accommodate the other stupid things that I do. According to my wife.
Well, good.
The soccer coaching. Huh?
Yeah, I'm on their board now too. So.
We still have that same rule that we had last time in
Yeah.
both here, that 30 foot, I don't,
30
She's
foot.
here for this,
We
for
require it.
mosquito control, so maybe you want to give a
Oh.
summary.
Oh, she missed it.
That's all right. I can. You keep going, and I can grab you afterwards.
you wanted to, if you want to interview him, you have my permission, even.
Yes.
You give the okay. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, then I don't even need to ask him.
Great.
But
dressed up
anything
today.
that takes place in here, you have to understand
You
that
look
30
nice.
foot rule. I think you
dressed up
violated
today.
it last time.
I wanted to
You're right,
impress
I
you
did.
people that
Oh,
I
my
actually
gosh.
could dress. I didn't wear a tie.
Well, it's summer.
It is summer.
Well, I'm glad to hear you feel you can work it in as far as.
Well, yeah, and it seems pretty good.
I think you need your leadership on it.
I don't.
Expertise.
I
Huh?
don't have the expertise.
I
Well,
think
you really do, you know, and the people really rely on you. They feel fortunate there.
It is.
I think
what
we got a kind of a gun home group there. At least that was been my impression.
That is other than the two that never show up. So
Who doesn't show up?
Charles.
Charles and Clovis.
And no, Clovis shows up. And
Dan's?
no, Nancy's always there.
Oh, Nancy. Dan.
Nancy would
She's
never
the
miss a
secretary.
meeting. The lady from Mesa
Old lady from Mesa doesn't show.
doesn't show up most of the time, but the rest of them usually.
Well, the
show up.
guy from Clovis was real gung ho to start with. I just,
Yeah, he's the vice chairman. He's real gung ho. Colotus actually pays his salary while he's down here, so he gets paid for actually coming to the meetings. So.
And Dick Britton still enjoys it.
Mm-hmm.
he's pleased to be on that, Dick.
He's a nice man.
Isn't he a nice guy?
Very thoughtful.
He's a nice
The guy
guy.
from Connell, John White's great.
John's a good guy, yeah.
He's a little crabby sometimes, but you know, when you get to be 70 years old, you're allowed to be crabby.
Here, here, here.
Are you 70? You're not that old, are you?
No.
No,
I was gonna say, if you're 70, you ought to be retiring.
that's right.
So that's grandkids. Of course, they can't find anybody to run for your position, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure if I announced I wasn't going to, there'd been a whole throng. They're just waiting in the wings, but they're afraid to go against me.
You know, it's not cheap to run.
No, it isn't.
It's not cheap to run.
No, I was talking to Rick Runs.
Who?
Rick Run, Kerry
Yeah.
Run. And he was just crossing his fingers that nobody was going to declare for that because he said, that's $50,000. Yeah, the campaign.
Oh, yeah, because of two counties.
I don't want to spend that money.
I think she's pretty secure. You know, they seldom do they file against the incumbent for Superior Court.
But, of course, those are
They're new.
appointees.
They're
They
appointees, but-
haven't.
But I don't think anybody.
But I thought that they were going to. Well, it's too late now
Yeah.
because the week has passed. But
Yeah, they
for
won't.
nonpartisan, I don't think they.
Nonpartisan, they don't get the extra week. There's no point in it.
But the party could put someone up against me yet this week.
Which party are you in?
Oh, hush. You know what party I am.
No, I don't.
Oh,
I don't
I'm
pay
a
attention.
Democrat.
She admits it. God, right out, bold face and say
I
it.
do.
Right in
I do.
position.
I keep saying that I'm an endangered species in eastern Washington.
We'll vote for you, buddy.
Okay. Well, thanks, Rick.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, right?
Just to find out what your little trip was like. Sounded like you had a couple glitches.
Well,
Did you ever get to meet with them?
he showed up just right at 9 o'clock when my paperwork said he'd be there, so you couldn't. Well, Taryn, to let you know, Frank, what we're talking about, we got there and we tried to call him at about 8 o'clock to find out if he was ready to have us come over to the studio because we were going to try to catch an earlier plane. He wasn't there, and we thought, well, we're supposed to meet him at 9 o'clock, so we'll just go on over to the studio. He may come in a little bit early. So we're standing out in front of the studio, and somehow it brought up, and I said, well, he's supposed to be here at 9 o'clock, and Terrence says, oh, did you set that appointment? I said, well, I think Pat did. So I called Pat up, and I called Bridget, and I said, did you make a 9 o'clock appointment here? Because my paperwork says 9 o'clock, and she says, no, I don't know anything about it. So I said, well, ask Pat, So Bridget asked Pat, and Pat said, no, Fred told me 9 o'clock. And I said, well, I don't know anything about 9 o'clock, I said, Terrence, well, you set it up, didn't you, Terrence? He says, well, all I told the guy was that I'd be here Friday morning. He was talking about 11 o'clock. And here we're standing out in the middle of the street, and the owner of the building came out and said, can we help you? Because we're all three standing out there. And we told him what was going on. He says, well, let me see if I can get a hold of him. So he tried to get a hold of him, and he says, no, he's not in. So we're thinking, well, maybe he's going to show up, maybe not, we don't know. So I called Bridget and said, well, try to find his home phone number and, find some of these people and see if you can't get somebody over here, let them know that we're here. And some guy pulls up in this old pickup and right out in front of the studio. And I thought, well, that might be him. So I asked him, I said, are you with Reflection Studio? And he said no. And he said, oh, okay. And he says, do you have an appointment with the guy? And I said, well, we do, but we're not exactly sure of the time now. And he said, well, I have his cell phone, so I'll give him a call. Oh, so he went into his studio, and he came out, and he says, yeah, he's just a few blocks away. He'll be here in just a couple of minutes. So, he pulls up, and he comes out, and he goes, hey, I'm really sorry. He says, I got a call from this guy that you've been standing out here. I said, well, you don't need to be sorry. I said, my paper said you're going to be here at 9, and you're 3 minutes early, so everything worked out pretty good,
But he didn't know 9, though.
Yeah, he was thinking we were going to be there at 10. So he just happened to be coming in a little bit earlier to kind of open up the
God,
shop.
that worked out then.
But but when we got there, it was just a big concrete building that went for a whole block. And we walked through the front door, and a concrete staircase headed up to the left, and then it headed back up across. And it looked like an institution, a correctional institution is what it looked like. Just cold concrete, steel. And then the door for Reflections was just a big steel door, and somebody stenciled Reflection Studios onto it years ago. So it kind of looked a little bit
pretty hayseedy, huh?
Yeah, just it was like this is different, and so you couldn't really tell how big the studio was. But when we went inside, he had a real nice studio. It opened up, and he had his main office, and he had a lot of his stained glass out there that he had done, and just does beautiful work. It was just beautiful, the stuff that he had done. And it was truly a professional office. He had his computers set up, and he actually had Franklin County's dome as a screensaver on his computer. And he showed us other domes that he had worked on with larger buildings, which the domes were just massive in size. But we went over to the other side of his studio, and it was about, the ceilings were really high, but I'd say that room was twice as big as this one, and he had his all of his glass in all the cases, and it just didn't look like it was really big enough to handle the dome, and so he showed us the processes and how he would plan to do the interlocking of this dome, because he's going to modify it to bust the panels into 3 separate pieces rather than have one solid piece. And I asked him, I said, well, is this going to, be enough room for you? And he says, oh, no, he said, follow me. So we just kind of went around the corner, and his back studio was, huge. It had big bay doors that could open up. And he also had a truck area where the trucks come in and come right in on the loading docks, and he has plenty of room to take care of the dome, where he's going to keep the dome the whole time until it's ready to come back into the studios. But he did this one stained glass of a church where it was the size of probably about one of the 2-door section there that he contracted with one of the churches, and he was doing the stained glass of Christ handing out the bread and the fish, and there was a lady, and it was at the back of him, and one of the ladies that worked in the church or went to that church was a seamstress, so she had prepared the different wardrobe for the people that are in it, and they brought the people out of the church, and he took a photograph of him, which was the back of him handing out the loaves of bread, and the little gal holding the baby looking at him. And then they projected it up on a screen, and they did a big stencil of it. And then he was showing us the light tables and how he did his process. But he had literally hundreds of pieces of glass that he had cut. And I don't know if I'm explaining it real well. It's just, it was like he was tracing over this photograph that they projected up on the wall. And it was pomegranates and just, all the leaves of the trees and Christ standing there and how he had cut all the glass. And he had about 2/3 of it done already, where he had all the individual glasses cut. And he showed us the kiln where he'll paint the glass and send it into the kiln and bake the paint right into the glass. He says it'll last about 100 years. He says the paint will hold up inside that glass for about 100 years. And then we walked around to the big bay area where the trucks were and stuff. And I feel really confident that he's going to do a great job.
Well, how many people does he have there?
He has three.
Three people?
Well, he's got 3 people. When you call his studio, you can either transfer to one of 3 people, but as far as how many employees he has, I was under the opinion he had 3, maybe 4.
That are doing this kind of work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's done, actually, I didn't realize this, but he's the same stained glass company that did the one in Pacific County.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. But, yeah, their dome there was just gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
There probably aren't a lot of people in this town that work.
They're pretty far and few between. So we were...
What is our budget on that? 750?
770, I think, is what it is. And that's for the flat panels and all of the stained glass that's going to be put in.
But that budget is within the bids, huh?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I knew, but I just wondered because I know what the architect's figure was.
Yeah.
So
I think he's going to do good.
And then Bridget's father is going to...
Yeah, I have the contracts here for him. He's a superintendent for one of the largest construction company in the state of California. So has lots of experience with construction projects, and so I feel really comfortable. I think we'll be just fine having those, him monitoring them.
Did he come to the studio too?
Yeah, he met us for breakfast. He read over the contracts and he signed his part of it, and then he met with us. We introduced each other, and he introduced himself with the Reflection Studio owner, and he knows that he's going to be coming in once a month to take a look at it. And actually, the Reflection Studio owner was the one who recommended that we go down and take a look at it. It came through the architects to us, and he was, felt real comfortable that Ernie, which is his name, Ernie Hall, will be down, seeing how he's doing on a monthly basis. So with that,
So have we got the insurance situation?
I called he was still having a little difficulty getting that insurance. It's just the transporting from here to California once
And
it's
then
there.
back.
Well, yeah, either just the transporting is where he's having difficulty with it. Leidig was trying to get their insurance company to basically cover him for the dome transport. They are still having a little bit of trouble with it, so I called Willis and Kroon and talked to them, Hans Christian, and told him what was going on and saw if it was possible for us to purchase the insurance because we're going to have to pay for it anyway. He had called Leidig's insurance company, and he was discussing it with one of their agents, and he called me back Friday, and he says, I think they have it worked out over there. If at all possible, we don't want to get involved in it, but they would if they had to. But he thinks that it'll be worked out just fine.
Okay.
But we won't let him do anything until we have verification of the insurances.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an interesting trip.
Did you ride the trolley and go to the wharf?
I rode the taxi to the hotel. I spent the night got up the next morning.
What a boring guy you are. I cannot believe you.
Went over to the studio, came back to the hotel, and then went back to the airport.
Boring.
I know. I just, you know what? I looked outside and I saw the Oakland Bridge, and I could look out my window
The
and I saw
Oakland Bridge?
Yeah, it was right outside our
Oakland Bridge,
window. And then I could see the San Francisco Bridge, and Bridget asked me if I saw the lights of the city, and I said, no, you'd have to stay up late enough for it to get dark. You could see the lights of the city. Terrence went up to his room and read a book. I was going to go up and watch a movie, and
I can't imagine you guys didn't go down to the wharf and have good seafood.
You know, I had a really nice
Steak.
No, I had red snapper.
Good morning.
I had red snapper, and it was really good.
Oh,
Mrs. Miller.
good morning,
Good morning.
Mrs. Miller.
I'm shocked that you started without me.
Well,
Campaigning. during
hour and a half.
I
the
wasn't
summer.
campaigning. I was buying houses. I'm a house baron now. We don't have food for the table, but we own lots of houses.
Well, those are good investments, so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
Our first thing is City of Pasco Lot 5.
Lot 5.
So you haven't missed Fred.
That's what I wanted to hear was his trip to California. And I hear you've got the important stuff out of the way, where he ate and what he ate. Oh,
This here is a resolution for the transfer of the property from Franklin County to the City of Pasco, along with,
Is it 356?
Yes.
Just need a signature on this.
the resolution is for all three, and then the chairman is to sign the transfer papers.
But they have to be notarized, so is Rebecca going to notarize them?
Didn't think about it, but yeah, I'll give it.
I move the resolution in favor of transfer of ownership of Lot 5 binding site plan 2001-06 parcel number 117-490-084 to the City of Pasco.
It has to be more specific than that.
That is specific. That's as specific as I can get. I'm
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll have to get $2 out of the petty cash for that.
You need this, don't you, man? Yeah, Rick said, I called him this morning, and he said once we get this
The
over there,
second,
he'll
isn't
carry
it,
it over.
of August?
Yes.
As I drove up, the clerk was being interviewed by the television out in front of the annex.
The clerk?
Our clerk, yeah. Diane's husband, Diana's husband,
Okay.
county clerk.
I wonder what that's all about.
I was so anxious to get in here and see you guys because I had missed you so much that I couldn't.
Huh?
The dogs.
Huh?
Did you call them Democrat? The dogs.
What's he talking about? Oh,
Your pups.
your pups.
Have you seen those
They're
pictures?
half Republican and half Democrat.
But I have one saved for you.
You do that.
Well, I'll deliver it, what I'll do.
Oh,
I-
Wilbert, they're so cute.
Yeah, and that's why we don't want you to deliver it because
And they would just,
Which address do I deliver it to, Wilbur?
38 Margaret.
no. I would think
Is he a watchdog?
You need it.
6671 Frankfurt Road. They could use another dog out there.
okay, what you got?
Okay, the next one is a professional services contract for Ernie Hall for the stained glass inspection. That allows him $300 per visit, estimated time 4 hours, and then any additional inspections will be at $75 an hour.
Okay,
I move for approval.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody that's monitoring your residence at the present time? So
Probably. I live as though they are.
because if a person wasn't in that area when they were supposed to be,
That's right. I can't be at that residence yet. Those people haven't moved out. I have to be at my country home.
That's why I said you can drop a lot of dogs there. People come over.
I have a feeling that.
Okay, then what have we got? Oh, this is a contract, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if you're just, I think it said for the board to sign, what we call it.
Yeah, evidently, 'cause Frank's is signing like mad.
I think I missed a copy in here somewhere. Just 2 copies there?
Three,
No,
there should be
right there.
three.
Okay, like this is, I'll get this. Yeah, here's the 3rd copy.
It's the same resolution number, isn't it?
357.
Uh-huh. But the contract attached to the resolution.
The guy had a piece of stained glass, another piece that he was working on that showed the solar system, and through it, meteorites were coming through it, and he had big round like marbles that were laid into the glass that raised the comets as they were coming through the solar system, and he had all the different planets on Earth. And he had some pretty nice work.
Oh, my.
What was he doing that for? I mean, who
He
you know?
just had it up,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
hanging in.
Does he do
Oh.
that kind of scrolling and take glass and develop it himself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He does it. It's all done right there. Yeah. He even does the artwork.
Oh, he doesn't pour that. He doesn't pour it in a form.
No, he'll cut the glass.
He'll scroll it.
Yeah. You're saying scroll it as cut the glass.
Yes,
He'll take, like I said, he'd take, let's say you had a color book and you ripped a page out of a color book to where you had the big black outlines of whatever it was he was doing. He would put that on the light table, which then would show up, through the glass, and he'd lay that other piece of glass over the top of it and scribe out that piece. And he'd number that piece and set it aside. And as the colors changed, he would bring out other pieces of glass and do the same thing, number that. And on his stencil, he would go through there and he'd number 1 through however many different cuts of glass would be on that. So then when
You do it on each cut of glass.
he'd do it on each cut of glass, as he cut it, he would label it to that number so he knew how the colors would come back together. And then he would lay that stencil underneath it, and then he would lay all the pieces of glass. He'd fit all the pieces of glass within about 1/8 inch of each other, 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch of each other. And once it all fit that stencil, color-wise, if he had to do any painting on the glass to say do a face, he would paint the faces on there with a certain type of a paint. And he'd take that glass and he'd put it in a kiln and he'd bake that paint right onto that glass. And then once all the pieces were put together, then he had this special type of a lead, almost like it was almost like a piece of I-beam, but it was lead. It had to where the glass would slide inside those eye sections.
Yeah, but he wouldn't melt it in. He would put it in as a whole piece.
Yeah, it was really, it was lead. So you could just form it however you wanted to. So he'd form it and he'd get all that lead in there, and then he'd come back and he'd somehow solder the lead
To the glass.
together. Yeah, and then
Solder the lead to the glass?
well he would because there'd be all those different sections of lead. He would solder the lead to the lead.
The different sections of lead.
Yeah,
But he would heat it so it would expand
Must-
and...
I don't know. I know.
Must
I don't,
soften and adhere to each other.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, I'm not exactly sure about that whole process, how he did that, but basically that's how he did his stained glass work, and he had a lot of pieces that he had in his studio that would just,
Oh, my.
when you walk in, it's just
Any domes? He
Well,
domes?
he did the Pacific County Dome.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until he mentioned it. And I said, wow, we saw that. So he knew Verl.
So are we going to be taking each section down at a time and taking it down there and then back up? Or
No,
it's all going to go?
He'll take it all down there.
One time.
One of the,
Is he coming up to supervise that?
Yeah, he'll be here August 9th. The insurance company wants him to send it down in two truckloads, rather than all the pieces in one truckload, which really kind of surprises me. They're making such a big deal out of it.
Well, the value of it.
The value of the dome is $1.2 million. If they had to rebuild that whole dome, it costs $1.2 million to do that. A Walmart truck's got $1.2 million in the back of that, and it goes down the road how many times a day?
Yeah.
I said, well, did you guys find out that this is Tiffany glass and you're not telling us? Is that why there's such a big issue on the insurances? But I don't understand. You know, it would take quite a bit to destroy 100% of the dome.
But they're looking just for the safety. I'm sure that the Walmart truck, if it wrecked, half that stuff would be recoverable.
Well, the way
Didn't cost them much
he's going to ship this down is that they call it's a styrofoam company, and he's told them the dimensions of the dome, and they will laser cut in styrofoam the styrofoam sheeting to where the slice will come out and lay right into that styrofoam sheet, and then another one will come in on top of it, so it's completely encapsulated.
And I thought Pacific County had saved theirs, and that maybe we could use that.
He did, and I mentioned that to him, but he says we're so much further down the road with technology today that he said with these styrofoam sheets, he says the worst thing, he says if you was to roll this truck, you probably wouldn't have very minimal damage to the dome. He said the worst thing that you could worry about is if it catches on fire.
Oh.
He said fire will destroy it, where everything else
It'll melt the glass.
will be fine. He should be fine. So, and he showed us the styrofoam pieces, and he says, I certainly hope this contract gets signed, because he hasn't got the contract signed with Leidig yet, because he's been doing a lot of work up front. And I said, you know what, that's been typical with this job, because we've all been doing work up front prior to the contracts being signed and stuff. So I said I wouldn't be too concerned about that.
So it's this man himself that's going to come up here, or Mr. Hall?
The owner of the studio will be coming up with a couple of his workers.
Mr. Hall won't come into play.
He's just going to check on them and keep
down there.
Down there.
Yeah, once it arrives down there, then he'll come
Okay,
in.
what is, we're talking about the fire marshal.
Okay,
Do you have
last
any
year.
comments on this, Sue?
What? Fire marshal? I think he deserves to get a really good salary, so he wants to stay where he is.
Last year in budget time, the board agreed to extend his hours from 4 hours a week to 8 hours a week, and then mileage to travel back and forth to the different projects. But that did not get put into the 04 budget, and when Jared noticed it, he came in and mentioned that there was going to be a shortfall, and you said, well, when you run out of money, come back for more. So
Oh, I thought we already approved it and everything.
it was approved. It just didn't get in the 2004
Where are we gonna take
budget.
it from?
It would have to come out of contingency.
There's no room in Jared's budget.
I will ask him, but he didn't
Tell
indicate
Jared
that
to
yet.
look at his salary line items in his budget.
I'll tell him that we'll transfer it in there as soon as he figures out where the money's coming from. And if he doesn't, we'll do a contingency.
All right. Have we got the resolution for
I don't.
contingency?
We're going to talk to you about it.
The only place we have is contingency. But
Okay, well, now, the next item, I have a concern with.
Oh, I know what we did with Jared's budget. He depleted his budget, what he had left over, to do it this far, I thought.
no, we told him to bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
Just bring it back. And we can't do anything on the next item, Fred, until we have budget study on this thing.
Well, this happened prior to that. I just thought I'd bring it to you.
What is it, the
chairs.
chairs?
Yeah, chairs.
I mean, why didn't they talk to us at budget time? These didn't just go bad. Boom.
She indicated that she could get by with two chairs. I went ahead and I thought it was going to come out of L&I. because typically that's where it comes from.
Always.
But I was told this morning that you had decided that you didn't want to use the L&I money because you wanted to keep it for.
Well, I think
much
we've
money do we
used a
have
lot
now,
of it, haven't we?
Fred?
I thought we'd used a whole lot of it. It was
used
looking.
the other one, the liability insurance, for our, what do they call it?
But the L&I fund is just like,
L&I, there's $29.84 in there.
yeah, I know we didn't have much,
Yeah,
but it's just like having that current expense anyhow.
yeah.
2,000?
Just about $3,000 in L&I.
And then it'd take
where is
half
she
of
going
it.
to take it out of?
Well, I was assuming you were going to take it out of L&I, but I was told this morning that you decided that you were going to lock that L&I fund up and not use it for.
Well, I mean, I
whatever
can't
reason.
see spending the lion's share of it on one office.
Well,
Why does she need 4 chairs?
it's insane.
Does she say?
Yeah, she was. Frank, would you hand me that sheet, that white other one?
This one?
Yeah. All right, it says, help, I have four employees that need new chairs. Is there money in the LMI for purchase? 2 chairs are broken and 1 chair does not fit my newest hire, and 1 chair just is wore out.
What do they do? I thought we bought chairs for them just recently.
I think you bought chairs for dispatch.
Oh,
I don't know that you bought chairs for them recently.
Let's wait at least before we do anything. We get to our studying the budget.
Tom and I are going to meet at 1:30 or 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Pardon me?
Tom and I are going to meet on that budget at either
Okay,
1:30 or 2 o'clock.
Here,
You're
keep
gonna-
that with your records,
What we-
because I'll forget.
What we're wanting are very, very flexible options, Fred.
We'll give you everything we can, you know. I'm not gonna. Well, I'll just give you two things that are on my mind right now is that salary contingency. That's $200,000 right there.
Yeah.
Could we have a break before we continue?
Sounds good.
I'm pretty much done.
Well, no, I want to talk sealed.
Oh, yeah,
They're wonderful.
Oh, yeah, that's really nice.
So anyway, continue on with your conversation when I.
Oh, the budget. That $200,000 in salary contingency, you know, we're 800 out. This is what we're looking at.
Well, we're 800 if none of that revenue comes in.
Right.
But there might be some.
Well, now look, when we say we're 800 out, that's projected how far, Fred?
To the end of the year.
To the end of the year. So,
Right now.
so
we're about-
some of that revenue will probably come in.
Well, the way I marked the sheet down is that as we were discussing it, I said, well, what do you expect to get by the end of the year? Say if he had $100,000 written in there, he says, well, I'm going to get 20. I cut the 100 out, but I added the 20. So by the time you take the difference between the original budget and the projected budget,
That's how you arrive at the 800.
that's how we come up with the $800,000.
I asked Steve Marks, because he was in here during all that conversation. I said, what did you take out of that meeting? And he said, I didn't take anything. He said, they didn't answer a question. He said, it was blamed on everybody else. It was either district court or municipal court or the feds, and then the commissioners, because they did the wrong and changed my figures. And he said, I didn't get anything. And I said, well, I wondered if I was not.
But the fact
Who
is
changed the figures?
Well-
They accused us of changing the
Oh,
figures.
yeah.
What we did was took away the employees, but they didn't change the revenue. But they knew that.
Frank, I remember it distinctly when we discussed that. They said the revenue would be there.
Well,
And their regular, if you look back, their regular work release program brought in money without the feds.
but even
And
if they
they're
hadn't-
not doing that.
Even if they hadn't said the revenue was going to be there, they've had that budget a long time.
Oh, I know.
They've had it a long
And-
time, and
and
they should have come back to us and said,
So
hey,
I
something's
went to
wrong.
Zona and told her how unhappy I was with Connie and Tom, that they didn't speak up, because I didn't want to get into another shouting match with the
Sure.
sheriff. But they said they were presented on the day we passed that budget with a complete budget of the green
Well,
bar.
I had-
That very day, December 11th.
We had that in our possession. Now,
And so
one
did
that quite-
anybody in the audience.
because they had a pile of them. We didn't have the finished one probably in
No,
February,
we
but it
didn't
was
have the little book, but
it was the same
same thing.
same identical thing.
And
If we made a mistake, and we always can, it should have been rectified at that time. Come back to you and say,
Yeah.
hey, you know, this is where it is, and this is where you are, and we got to correct this because this is how we
Well,
balance.
from now on, they need to get a budget and sign their name on it,
yes,
that they read it, and then we can just dispense with all
well,
this
that's poor
rigmarole.
management. Every single department head should be looking at their budget
That's right.
monthly,
Yeah.
because they do get a printout.
Yeah, I agree, but you know, and what you say is a good idea, Sue. I kind of resent having to do that.
I resent having to do it, but you know
Well,
what?
I did, Frank. I'll tell you, when we did the preliminary budget, and I was doing it, they accused me as auditor changing the figures or not typing in the right ones. So I made them put their total and sign on that preliminary budget.
Every department head.
Every department, even the commissioners.
Yeah, you know, it's a great idea.
And
Before
every
you
time they
finalize that
accuse me,
budget,
I'd
you
pull
have
it out.
everything
I mean,
back.
what else can you do? Otherwise, just give them a lecture and tell them to read it every month. And if you think they're going to do it, I
But
think you're misleading yourself because
God, you know, and this is
They're
good. I mean,
grown-ups.
that'll take care of it. But
Yeah,
I
but-
can't imagine somebody not looking at the budget.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them not checking that.
Well,
budget.
they don't care because
Well, I
when
think-
they run short, they come up and we give them what they want.
Well, some of the
How many
problem-
times do we refuse?
yeah, some of the problem is having somebody to do it for you, and that somebody isn't doing it and communicating.
But you've come up with 200,000, Fred.
Well, the rainy day fund, there's another 100,000 there. That's
Yeah, but that's
300,000.
what that says. How
Well,
rainy?
no. You budgeted $100,000 to go into the rainy day fund.
Yes.
You
We
take
wouldn't
that
have to
out.
put that in.
Yeah, you won't have to put that in, so that's 300,000. If you end up with this land sale, you take $1 million if you still plan on doing that. Put it in a rainy. I'm not even suggesting that you use that. Just put it in there. You
I
can pull
support
out
that.
that 134 that's in there right now. That's set aside in the rainy day fund.
I guess it's
That'll give
434,000.
you 434,000 just off the top. Now we're going to go back through the other budgets because at 50%, we're 50%.
52.
We're 50% collections.
I thought we're about
52%. You're right. You're 52% collections in your revenues, and
Spending 54.
54.
Which isn't bad, That's
No,
no
it
problem.
isn't.
Well, no, because if you think about it, we've already lost out on $500,000 of the corrections money. So the other departments has picked up that $500,000 already. So the $800,000 was over a year period. So really, we're down to about $400,000 that we've already been able to cover ourselves for up to the first 6 months. I'm following what I'm saying?
Yes, I am.
So we might be able to slide in just fine. But we're going to go over that stuff and come back to you Wednesday and with what our findings are. We're going to go back
But
and take a look at
one
the
of the
revenues,
problems
too.
that we haven't thought about is that how do we balance every year? We balance every year except 1 year with the carryover. And this
Well,
will come down,
gone.
the carryover's gone, and the balance for next year is,
Well, it was just a matter of time before, with this whole Iman issue and the tax cuts and all that sort of stuff, to where I think Franklin County's going to have to make a decision.
Okay. Then we got, and I made Mary make copies for both of you in regard to what one employee made a suggestion. Did you look at that?
I did. I looked
The
at
only thing is the difference between California and
Yeah, was
our
that our-
unemployment.
Was that our figures? Was that figures pertaining to
It was
Franklin?
It was just an idea, just a guess.
But it says a savings, and I was wondering,
Yes,
did
yes,
California save that money, or could we save the money in their
Well,
figures?
she thought we could.
She thought we could,
Okay.
but it was all just based on
Yeah.
a guess of numbers.
And you know, like the $20 per hour
You know, the only,
might be low, because if you figure.
I missed the sheet.
the only thing I think about is that if you take say a 40 hour, just for the sake of conversation, you take a 40-hour person, you cut them back to 35. Well, you know, basically what you're doing is you're cutting everybody's wages, the people that are left over. Now, Frank was talking about the rainy day fund. We balance on the rainy day fund every year. But, you know,
No, we've got on the
Not the rainy day, the carryover. Fred.
I get to talking faster than I'm thinking.
You're
But you're right,
sorry.
the carryover. You know, if Franklin County is truly heading the way it looks like we're heading, then I think it's probably, if it were me, I would make a choice as to what do I need to cut back in order for the rest of us, whoever it may be, you know.
Well, we're
left
looking
over.
at 6 months reprieve. If this works out, we're looking at just 6 months reprieve. Because we're going to be looking at the same thing again in budget time.
You will.
Oh, okay.
But it's, you know, right now it's all pretty preliminary stuff. So, you know, I need to be able to sit down and go through this stuff with Tom. And
But
come back with-
even if we come up with to covering it, Fred, we kill that carryover. We got a 6 month reprieve, and at the end of the year, what we're talking about now is going to have to take effect in order to make next year's budget balance.
Well, you know, I mean, right now there's a hiring freeze, and if a hiring freeze has to stay on until you find out exactly where you are, then that's just what happens when you start losing your money. You know?
Well, but we may not be looking at more than a hiring freeze.
We need to take a look at it. You know, come back. And what I would like to do is I would like.
But, you know, back to what you said, if that would generate, and what this was cut back people's hours, and, they would have a reduction in their salary and the savings, but
They would have a job. But one of the problems that I understand with this in California, or someplace that did it, I read that they're entitled to unemployment.
It had unemployment listed in there.
yeah, but the unemployment.
And we pay unemployment.
Yeah, we're self-insured, so that might be a problem.
Well, it's not much different than what we talked about already. Right now,
But your idea one time was 2 weeks vacation.
20, yeah, you go
20
from-
days
you
pay,
cut a
without pay.
Yeah, well, you cut one payroll out completely, and then you divide the 23 over a 24 period average. So you lose a payroll, which saves you about $500,000 just right now. And then you work out sometime throughout that year that you would take that
You know,
15
like
days
a Friday once a month or whatever.
whatever
it is.
works inside your department. You know, if I'll just use me for an example. You cut me back 15 days, then I just schedule out 15 days throughout the year where I can either take 3-day weekends or I can take a week off here, a week off there. I still make 24 paychecks, but it's
But
just
that's just a little bit less.
Yeah, it's a little bit less, but if you do it at the beginning of the year when you give the COLA out, then really you just forego the COLA is what you're ending up doing. So the average employee wouldn't really see
A loss.
a loss on their paycheck, but you would save a full payroll by doing it. And the only catch to that, there's always a catch, right? Your vacations are going to start adding up to where people are going to start maxing out that 240 hours. And if they walk out of here, then you got the big payoffs, unless people just like taking all that extra time off.
But aren't those without pay? Those days they're taken off?
Yeah, the ones that you're taking off is without pay, but why would I use a paid vacation day when I had to take a day off is what I'm saying. I wouldn't schedule a week, of my annual leave. I'd take off a week of the non-pay, and then my annual leave would build, is the catch to that. See what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you?
There are some options, and with a job market like it is, you know,
I mean, people, that might be a way of saving and them not losing their job, but there are going to be some unions or some people that they're not going to suffer. And if they've got tenure, the last one hired will be the one that's going to be reduced.
There are going to be some unions. All unions will take that posture to begin with, for sure.
Well, that's what's in their union policy, is they can bump, they can bounce.
So,
Well, what I would like to do is I would like to see, right now we're talking 800,000. By the time it's all said and done, we might be talking 200. We might not even be talking anything. So, I'd like to get to where that bottom line is, and then kind of
Then you can make
that.
some evaluations a little better than we can now, but we have a lot of speculation.
mm-hmm.
Well, it's with that 101%, it's not going to get better. It's only
Well,
going to get worse.
we need to urge our legislators to lift that. They can now that it's gone by
2-year period.
2-year period.
But one of the things, like Walmart coming out here, we get our $1.80, and the first year you'll get your new construction, but the next year it just reduces everything else.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so you don't.
Yeah.
And that's a third of the budget.
Yeah.
A third of the budget.
So that's significant. The first year, that next year, that'll give us a bump. Walmart will give us a bump next year. That'll really help us.
Yeah, 2 years probably, because
You're probably right. Yeah, because next year we'll get whatever sales tax and a little bit of revenue the following year.
what I wanted to do, and I want to go back and take a look at that first tenth and second tenth of a percent, and find out where we are with that, because when we first budgeted it, I'm sure we probably put it somewhere else or put it into the criminal justice line. But I wanted to go back and take a look at that, because when that was implemented, 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago, those
When will our
increases-
bonds be paid off for the remodeling the jail? I mean, for the prosecutor and the
I think those were a 20-year bond.
Were they?
So
Nothing is going to happen real quick on those.
No, but at the time that it was implemented, it's just like our .08 money.
It's grown,
It's grown tremendously.
and we don't need all that money.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, I need to go back and take a look. Have we reallocated that, or?
We have never reallocated it, if I remember.
I don't remember that either, so I'm wondering if.
Is it
Cool
just going?
enough. I don't know. I'd have to go.
Well,
Boy,
isn't
there-
it just in the general fund?
I think it does just come into the general fund.
But that money, what is the term that we can't use it?
Replacement.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about 08. We're talking about
Yeah, the
That money, that
Yeah, I could
1/10.
see that second 1%. That second.
what's for
1/10.
jail and
Juvenile.
juvenile.
But the kicker on that was that could also be used for police officers and this
Right,
kind
right.
of thing. Yeah.
What I meant, no, I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
the
did.
second one.
Yeah, it
could.
did.
It could
Yeah,
be
it could.
used
For
to
the
staff up
jail.
your correctional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not our road deputies.
It could be used for police officers because what we did.
The first 10th you
Could. But the second
But-
one is for
but-
juvenile and
Jails.
we voted
But
on that.
on the first 10th, you got a pot of money.
And we
Which came from the first
dedicated
10th.
it to the remodel.
What you're saying is you're right. What you're saying is right.
Which 10th did it come from?
The first 10th went for the prosecuting attorneys and the replacement.
The
fund.
surplanting is what you can't
Okay.
do. But we
didn't do that.
We didn't surplant, but what we did, we backed up on some positions that we had in there, and that released money for current expenses.
Right. You took your basically your current expense money and you reallocated it back into current expense.
That's
You took
right.
Whatever was left over after the bonds of the 10%, and you put it back into the corrections.
Yeah,
Not
but that's
corrections.
gone by the wayside because we don't get criminal justice money.
No, but
So
this,
they can't hold us
but
to
this,
that.
but this money here, the surplant, that first 1/10, undoubtedly is growing faster than the second 1/10.
Well, they're both
I
growing at the
think
same
they're-
time.
Yeah, they both be growing the same.
What are you
No, I
talking
think
about?
at first.
Well, he's being facetious.
I want to go back and take a look at that too and see where we are with that.
But I mean, if we can relieve our current expense for the jail, then we can certainly use it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we'll be looking at all that stuff. Tom's been working on other things, but we're going to meet this
But
afternoon.
that's a real good thought.
How
on that
much,
one.
we need to find out what our interest and bond payment is on the remodel.
The courthouse remodel?
No, the our
The jail.
original one.
Okay. Yeah, I want to
And
find out what
then
juvenile and
see what the difference is
juvenile.
between what that costs us for
Where's
the
the
bond payment.
slack?
Yeah.
Where's the slack?
Yeah, well, we should have slack in that second one too, because
Yes.
some of that went to the juvenile, and that has,
That was, yeah.
you know, the
Well,
juvenile.
we had some options on that.
Yeah. I'll find out where we are with
We need to look at each one with the options, if we can remember what the options were. And we'll need to before we allocate it.
that. Yeah. Well, we'll look at it. I don't think it's as bad as. Oh, that Tri-City Herald! I just love that paper.
Are you going to do this?
Yeah.
People need to realize when the Tri-City Herald is sitting
I
here
gotta
that they need
discuss
to choose their words a little more wisely. Because that free for all the other day was just, and then we
But it
had
never-
another free for all out of track too. And,
Yeah.
Well, Gary's our fault out there.
well, yeah,
Gary's at
that's-
fault out there.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
the
he
whole-
brought that up
Let me
in
talk to you
public.
about the conversation I had with Gary about this 4th of July celebration. I came right out and said, "Hey, if we budgeted $400,000, would the city be interested in paying too?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Well, we need to get to the point, find out just how serious you are about coming together with this." But after a conversation telling him that we're not looking at just throwing $400,000 out there without expecting to get 400 plus back, then he was okay with that.
But we need someone to back us. You know, you can't guarantee there won't be a shortfall.
And he understood that. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I couldn't be any more clear than I was with regards to that.
But
But,
we- Are we in the process, somebody developing a budget on that thing, Fred?
yes, I have Mr. Rattari working on that budget for that.
I would feel more comfortable if somebody from the city would help.
Well, I do, actually.
Well, the
you know,
city has to have approval, overall involvement in it, but
Gary and I, after talking about it, Gary and I decided what we're going to do is get a hold of the people that are already heading up that 4th of July celebration, and then sending letters out to all the different, like the Kiwanis and those groups out there, ask them to come to a meeting and see if we can't start putting something together. I asked Track to tell me how much it would cost for us to rent the facility for 3 days. Gary's kind of thinking that maybe we should start out with a 2-day celebration instead of a 3-day. But I think what we need to do is get those groups together and have them come in.
and we need to look at some options here to begin with on that.
We need to look at how much time people have off when the 4th falls on, too.
I think the 4th falls on Monday this next year. If we were going to have it in 2005, though,
Yeah. We need to move on it.
it's on a Monday. So if you had on a Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, or a Sunday and a Monday, I don't know.
But what we need, in my opinion, is to come up with a plan as far as, are we going to have a board on that thing? And if we do, then how many does the city allocate and how many do we allocate to that board? And try to get that board in place to get them involved in the plan.
Yeah.
Well, I need to get a hold of Paul Marsh first. 'cause
Paul
he's
would be the guy to work with on
Yeah.
that.
And yeah, Gary's he's good. He's fine with it. You know, so I don't think there's any-
Okay, is there
Well,
anything else?
yeah,
Maria?
just the one thing that you have in front of you that's
Oh yeah,
talking
one more
about
thing.
Bill.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead if you want to.
Well, I was talking to him about Chihuahua Park because I told him that you know I was talking to him about the meeting that we had and where we're looking like we're starting to run out of money, and I told him that it looked like I was going to come to the board and at least recommend that we send notice to the Corps that we're going to give them a year notice because we're going to drop out of our contracts. Now, whether we do it or not, at that time you can do an extension or something. At least you would have the option instead of saying, "Oh, we're broke now. We got to wait a year," because there's about $250,000 savings in current expense if you decided to do that. And Gary was saying, gosh, he hated to see us do that, and I said, well, there's a solution to that. I said, you could always take the park. He says, he didn't really want the park. And I said, well, why are we worried about that? Why? I mean, you can
The
annex
park
around
is
the
in the
park.
city.
And he understood that, and I said, Gary, it's just a matter of economics is what it is. And he says, well, I thought we were going to save the county about $60,000. And I said, no, by the time we got through going through the numbers, there was very minimal savings, and we lost control of the park.
About $10,000 or
That's what I told him. I said I thought it was around $6,000, but by the time we'd finished up on it, he says, boy, I sure hate to see us have a stalemate over the park. And I said, well, it's just a matter of money. That's really what it is.
He's got the law on his side, see, that he doesn't have to take the park.
Well, he made a suggestion. He said, well, why don't you and I come together? He says, what if the city agreed to pay half of the cost of the park? I said, well, that's what we're talking about.
Anything.
I mean,
Well,
that's $125,000
my only
savings
thing
right
is,
there.
getting that boat basin and stuff.
I think we're going to go ahead with that. I mean, I've already told Tim that we have the rainy day money that we're going to basically pay that to where we're going to pay out
we get that money back.
Yeah.
We had 116, get the 136 back. We can do that.
But there's also that additional $68,000 that you're going to have to come up with in order to go ahead and put the boat dock in there. I asked him if there was a possibility of using some of that storm water runoff. Well, he said he thought there was about $10,000 for catch. There is some of that money that he can use in there. Somehow we came up with $10,000, and the thing brought Franklin County's portion down to about $58,000. So, if you've gone this far, you might as well think about how you're going to come up with the additional $58,000, because that's almost a $700,000 project. That's only going to cost the county $58,000 to do. So,
if we've committed, we might as well get out of
yeah,
this.
when you come this far, it would be it wouldn't be, in my opinion, it wouldn't be a good idea to stop now.
Let's just do it, and we'll come up with the money. I mean, we're going this far, they can't have it back out.
Well, it's that land sale too, and we spent that money 16 times. Good thing it hasn't come in, because it'd be gone by now. But we were going to use that to pay off the Irwin stuff, So we're going to reimburse our current expense, because we took money out of the rainy day fund to purchase the Irwin to begin with, and you guys were going to reimburse yourselves back that money. Now, whether you do it or not, if you put that $1 million into a rainy day fund account,
It's 6 to 1, half dozen the other one, I think. Right?
pretty much.
What does that mean?
But we
You have
need
the number.
to finish up in that 58,000
You have her number.
and get that done.
I just wanted to bring to your attention that it says we're going to have to consider by the 14th or give an answer on whether we want to help with that extra $37.5 from July to November for PILT. So we need to talk about it, and by then they'll have the exact amount for
How much are we
Franklin
looking
County.
at out of that?
How much what?
Out of that 37.5.
What's our percentage? I couldn't tell you, but it's small compared to others. They will bring it to you, but before that time. But and then they're saying that we need to, if we don't have a resolution by November, we need to reassess our position and determine if we want to continue the fight.
I think we've been a part of that to this point in time. We need to stay the course.
Yeah.
I don't,
I remember what our last, but I thought that was another $37,000 bill that we had a part in. It seemed like it was $1,200, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, we need to stay the course on that.
We'll bring it to you again before we have that call, and then I'm personally I am for if we don't get something done by the election, I really think that we need to probably discontinue. Yeah, because it's costing us a lot of money, and I don't mind fighting for our schools and everything, but you do have to realize that the school superintendent from Richland and the one from Mattawa have really been visibly involved in this. I mean, they're making those trips, and they're trudging up and down the streets in the heat. And Connell, he does attend, but he says nothing, and so I don't think he quite understands. But he should understand the money.
Who does?
North Franklin superintendent. He should understand the figures.
Meet with Dave Hopper.
Okay.
You done with me?
Minutes for July.
Okay.
Are we done?
Just a second. I move approval of the minutes for July 28th.
Is there a second?
There is a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else, Madam Chair?
No, unless you have something.
I have nothing.
Meeting's adjourned.